Welcome to the Abbott Elementary Recap, Season 3, on Development Day. Principal Coleman invites the school district out to collaborate with Abbott to help improve the skills of the teachers, school leaders, and administrative support. This year is Janine's 4th year in teaching. Janine suggests a career day to help the students grasp possible career roles. Janine finally builds up the courage to admit that she likes Gregory, but he has already moved on because she took way too long to answer. Enthusiastic about teaching improvements, Janine volunteers to help the school district fix the place, so much so that Maddie from the school district wants to offer her an internship training program. Discussing this with Jacob, she is thinking about taking up the internship to help out Abbott, but it would mean that she would have to leave Abbott. Ultimately, she decides to take up the opportunity. Jumping 5 months ahead, Shementi jokes about getting married to Gary all week, saying it would take a miracle for them to even get married. Now working at the school district, Janine comes back to Abbott to introduce Career Day. They bring in specialists like makeup artists, zoologists, and even the Eagles marketing team, who lands big shot Jalen Hurts, and he lobs it to Gary to try and get married to Shementi, but Gary misses and Shementi says no. In the end, Gary and Shementi break up, so that Gary can find someone to get married to. On a lighter note, Principal Coleman had finally got her degree in education. She had been reading multiple books and interested in learning now. She has started to take away activities from the teachers and becoming more strict with the rules, so they devise a way to get old fund Coleman back, sending Jacob in to get scammed, but it fails, tempting her with usher tickets, even Gregory flexing his biceps. They all don't work. Their final option is luring her into the hall. They play City Girls and she gets her groove back. Eddie becomes the cool teacher and Jacob is jealous. He has to deal with students' relationships and giving out terrible advice. Eddie starts to hide because his advice actually affects the students day to day, until Shementi advises him that they are there for the students. He allows them to enter his classroom as the cool teacher, but he won't allow them to discuss relationships or females, and they will have to learn during this process, meaning gardening. Janine struggles to get an ASL translator for Imani, going through the system filing out forms that leads nowhere. She gets Imani's parents to convince the school district by threatening to go to the press about their situation with Imani not being able to hear. They successfully get an ASL translator. Tariq has a son in Barbara's class. He wants to befriend Nick so that he can become common law family and become his common law father. Substitutes are taking over Janine's classes while she is gone at the district. She sometimes checks in when she can. An alarm is set off and the school evacuates. The student starts moshing to I'm a Little Teapot, and Janine scoffs at Jessica, the new substitute, for not using the buddy system while they wait outside. The fire alarm went off because of a tiny smoke, a cigarette in the bathrooms. They catch a student, Curtis, smoking. He explains that cigarettes aren't banned. They discuss why it isn't banned. Posters outside and even on the website too, even though everything else is banned, including vaping. And Jacob vapes a lot. He calls out Janine for smoking weed every day. She doesn't do it every day, but sometimes at night. Ava also smokes devil's lettuce sometimes too. Eddie's drug of choice is an edible protein bar. Barbara relents on her drug of choice being Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, but in reality, Shementi calls her out for consuming a ton of Chardonnay. And 2, she spills about Shementi using CBD oils. A student was also recording the conversation, and as they try to stop the student from releasing the video, it is sent school-wide. Now once they discuss drugs, the students joke about them being drug addicts. Janine tries to help Curtis get the suspension lifted. He has been an A student and just tried a cigarette once. She manages to go through the channels and gets the suspension lifted. Being caught out for vaping, Jacob buys a Hocus Pocus breath, or flavored air. Barbara is excluded from singing Shackles as a church choir, so Ava throws an assembly together for Barbara to sing at it. It takes way too long. Jacob is scared to go home. Him and Zach have been fighting and ignoring each other. Eddie suggests that they need to break up. Instead of that, he starts to do things that irritate Zach until they break up. This boils into Zach wanting couples therapy, but Jacob breaks up with him and admits all the things he has been doing has been so Zach would break up with him. Vengeful, Zach has started to shrink all of Jacob's clothing items. He will have to move out and find a different apartment now. Janine also accidentally harassed the sub for lying about her certification. She realizes she spelt the name wrong. For show and tell day, a student brings in a famous guy, Bradley Cooper, and for this, Khalil will get an A. Janine brings in Joan from the city and Elizabeth from the education board, educating the school about Abbott's history. Anti-racist protesters stormed the stage, proclaiming that Willard R. Abbott was a racist. Searching the interwebs, they discovered that Abbott was in fact a racist. The closest and still living Abbott is Willie. He has tried to do the right thing and undo the wrongs of his grandfather, donating to notable charities and volunteering his time to this. They hold a ceremony to commemorate this change, but in fact he is a flat earther and believes the moon is a spaceship. So the moral of the story is everybody is terrible. Janine tries out a new librarian program at Abbott, introducing a new librarian, Miss Inez, to monitor the library and hold everybody accountable for the security of the books. With poor financial decisions of becoming a teacher, Shimenti has to put up her spare bedroom up for rent. The extra money will help her, and she believes she has already found a tenant. She realizes this is Jacob. Moving in the first day, they share their love of New Jersey housewives. Starting to become close friends, they're worried that spending time together at work could ruin the balance of the ecosystem. They decide to keep this a secret. In the end, they gain the courage to come out, and no one really cares. There are two adults being friends. Janine cares about the librarian program, as it could affect her standing at the school district of implementing programs. Not only that, but how the students will use this allocated time. Everything goes well and all the teachers, including Eddie, loves the program. Even Ava is able to find a book to read. Barbara though is against it, being unable to use the library at any time and not being able to borrow multiple books because they are reserved. With support from Eddie that his and Melissa's classes are improving, she confronts Barbara, saying that the problem she has is with the system, even though her students are enjoying the library time. Admitting that the conversation is enlightening, but she will still have to write a review about the program. Reading the reviews with Eddie, she realizes Barbara wrote a good, thoughtful review of the program. They play teachers vs students basketball as a fundraiser. Tarek is the new president of PTA. The teachers get smashed, and Barbara even owned goals. The teachers have to take a CPR class, and they meet up with Janine. Jacob runs into Avi, and Melissa with Captain Rob. Barbara finds out that Shimenti was hooking up with Captain Rob, and she wasn't in the loop, which makes her mad. Shimenti also realizes that Jacob was hooking up with assistant Avi. Janine is dragged out of the room because of her librarian program. It is going to be spread statewide, but the first problem is that a university has pulled out of the program, meaning they need district funding. She wants to talk to the superintendent Reynolds, but Reynolds won't approve the program if it needs funding, because free is yes, and not free is grrr. Ava and Gregory attend the teachers panel. They lose to Liberty and Principal Crystal, one of Ava's nemesis. Gregory answers a question about his students and how he created the gardening program for them. A man takes a liking and offers him a business card to fund him. Eddie is looking into applying for the Garden Goofballs program. A grant would mean that he could get money for seeds, tools, and kids' favorites, matching t-shirts. At the school district, Janine is thanked by Principal at the Robinson Prep for the library program. She meets Superintendent John Reynolds. He wants to offer her a full-time position after her fellowship is up. A new teacher is subbing for Janine. He is inquiring about why Alex Perkins has been away for 7 days, full of unexplained absences. He is going on 9. They visit his house to inquire on why he hasn't been attending. His grandma says he isn't going to school because he misses his old teacher, Miss Teams. Miss Teams convinces Alex to attend the school, also breaking the news to Eddie that she is going to be taking the full-time position. Jacob introduces a new software to detect AI plagiarism in work. Barbara's email correspondence is 99%. Shimenti's review of his essay is 100%. After struggling to reply to Mr. Johnson's essay of an article, he uses AI and forgives Melissa and Barbara. Janine announces that she is going to take the position. Eddie is sent to retrieve her lanyard so she can't return to Abbott by request of Ava. She does get a goodie bag from all of the teachers. Ava begins her exam of finding a Janine replacement. The school district throws a party for Janine as she is going to accept the position, even holding a celebration for her signing the contract. It all seems a little too much, and thinking about her time at Abbott, the cards written from the kids, Janine ultimately decides to decline the position and come back to Abbott. Introduced to friend Olivia, Eddie goes on a double date with Jacob and Avi. During this date, he spots Janine with Manny from the district, and suspects that they are also going out on a date. The entire date he is fixated on them, even being joined with Tariq and Erica. Confronting them, he realizes how wrong he is. They only met up as friends. On Mother's Day, everyone celebrates their mother. Getting wind that Gregory celebrates golfing alone because his mother passed at a young age, Barbara invites him out to her celebration, running into her family and ex. They have a really awkward celebration, trying to dig into Eddie's mother. Too much for Eddie that he leaves, not before thanking Barbara for inviting him. Realizing the error in her way, Barbara decides to golf in quiet too. Jacob pulls off a field trip for the entire school to go to a national park, but they are met by another school, spending the entire day together trying to beat the other school at activities because their principal is Crystal from the panel. Janine and Gregory recoup what feelings they had of each other and ignite the fire. Eddie is still thinking about applying to the Garden Goofballs program. Janine throws a party for the end of the school year. She invites over everyone. Zach and Jacob struggle to interact after their breakup. She hooks up Ava with her cousin. At the end of the party, Eddie runs back and they finally admit their feelings for each other, and they too kiss. This is where the story ends. Make sure to subscribe, and for more, watch this.